Welcome. This is the second presentation for setting the Greek text. This is an example of the Novum Testimonium Gratian for Acts 15:36 through 41, which we use in BNTP 672. If you're viewing this on YouTube, you can follow along by finding online the Greek text from the Bible Society, created by Nestle. So let's look at this. What does the Greek text look like in NA-28, Nestle 28, version 28? In it, you will find some markings that mean alternate sources. One alternate source for verse 37 is around the word sum paralaben. The second is around kalalumenon. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to look carefully at what is exactly involved in these markings. If you look at the first word, sum paralamben, and if you're familiar with your Greek, it's sum plus paralambano is the base word. It's in the first one, sum paralaben, is a second aorist active infinitive, and in the other words, you may have a present active infinitive. So, in the first case, you have paralambanen, which is present active indicative, present active infinitive, as opposed to what's in there was sum paralamben, which is second aorist. The meaning of the infinitive is fairly close. The shading may be different. So it's a nuance. What about adding chi or tone? That depends on whether you think it should be and John, the one called Mark. Should you said, does it need an and? Does it need the one called Mark? That depends on your concept of where the infinitive grammar works. Notice in this you'll find a replace, which is one type of marking. That is what sum paralamben for the present active indicative is replaced for the sum paralaben. That's a replace. It's testified by a few witnesses. You can have omit the word, add the word. Notice if you have this replace chi, it can be replaced with something. Chi tone can be replaced with chi or just tone. The base text is always listed in as txt, and these little ors, which is the two dotted lines, so these are all the possibilities found. So that's the first edition. Paralamben, chi, tone, all of this is involved in this particular phrase. The next phrase that's questionable is the participle kalalumenon. They say instead of kalumenon, epikalumenon. Those are two different words. See down here, either epikalumenon or kalumenon. There are two different words. Let's see what it means between the two. So when we choose between these sources, you'll find these citings, as you saw with A. We have ordering of these citings based on the research for the German Bible Society, either as consistently cited sources, frequently cited, or occasionally. And then they have two ordered within the consistently cited sources, the order 1 and the order 2. The order 1 contains of papyri and direct unisicles, which are independent of the Byzantine Koine text. Remember, when Constantine took charge of the Roman Empire and issued the Edict of Milan and made Christianity acceptable, and then the Roman state religion, you find that the Byzantine Koine text became what he gathered in as scripture. So when you find things that are exception to that, that's an independent witness. Now, what about the act sources? What happens with the act sources is that people actually take a look at these sources and judge the papyri as to what's a really good source. So you have the first order, you have papyri, you have unicicles, which is fairly substantial text pieces which copied out of scripture, either in sermons or other things. We're grateful that that they copied whole chunks of sermons into that. We have consistently second order and then frequently. So what happened in our discussions with Acts 15:38? We talked about Paul considering John Mark, and you have the disagreement between Paul and Barnabas. So let's look at the words they tried to replace. You have the word for worthy, and so you have e'achriu as the main text. The replacement for it is ukbale legon. So instead you have a comma here and then a statement. Instead in ekbalu eto legon, you have something that's more meaningful for a quote, not an implied one. In the square, you have an admission. Notice you admit to the mark. So from apo uton, from them or with them, and so that's admitted. In another thing, utois is admitted. Now we come to here where we insert a word, where they insert the words es, and that instead of just plain, it would just be es. And then you could also have the word epe mu thenesing. So then we have another set of replacements. So all of these tell us to either insert text, change text. What does it do? Well, let's look at the variants and what they say. The first variant, we have the original on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, we have the change to ukbelet bula eto legon. As you recall from your Greek studies, that ukbaleto is an imperfect, was not desiring, saying, followed by a participle. Then you have the participle piece. So we've chosen to include apo, but not apo uton. So Paul was considering worthy the one who withdrew. So notice, and had not gone to this work. So in the first case, on the left-hand side, Paul is considering whether he was worried. And he considered this one was not worthy to take along as an adjunct. The right-hand side is much clearer, and Paul was not desiring, saying the one who withdraw from Pantheon had not gone in order to work, this one not to take along as an adjunct. So somewhat he's saying, is this young man grown up enough to stay when the times get hard? So we've got the same thing on the left-hand side. Now on the right-hand side, we pick a second variant. We use ukbaleto legon, ton apostanan apo pamphilesas or pamphilia kai unmek sunaton es tone work. Notice here we've taken out the utois. So Paul was not desiring, saying the one who withdraw from Pantheon had not gone in order to work the purpose they were sent. This one do not take along as an adjunct. Okay, what about variant 3? Well, here in this variant, I've included the first change for ech, he, echu, and we've included tone apostolon pro pamphiles kai me suna letheonton eston ergon. Okay, so notice here I've included eston ergon, and instead of me sum parlaben tuto, I've included the s ho epe me theson, first aorist active participle in indicative third person plural. You notice the theson gives you that. Paul was not desiring, saying, the one who withdrew from Pamphylia and had not gone in order to work the purpose they were sent, this one do not be with them. Okay, so same concept, different phrases. Let's go with variant 4. Same change for uk balute legon ton aposton apo phali pamphilasi kai me sun e leonthon eston ergon eston. Now I'm still including es ho ape me theson. I'm also including sun untos. And Paul was not desiring, saying, the one who withdrew from Pamphylia and had not gone in order to work for the purpose they were sent, this one should not be with them. Okay, so you see various concepts on the same. The question is, why do we care? Well, but perhaps you want to recall that in one Paul's not desiring it, and the other Paul is not considering him worthy. And so he said Paul was not considering worthy the one who withdrew from them from Pamphylia and had not gone with them in order to work, this one to take along as an adjunct. So you see the emphasis in tone. The question is, which is closer to Paul and what you think should happen? So what do we do? First, we look at the grammar, and we look at the witnesses. So you haven't really looked at the witnesses. We've looked at the grammar, uk beo legon. That makes a clear statement in the text as far as stating what Paul was saying. We've looked at apo, from them or with them, to them, or to that work, meaning that would be the neuter. Not neutral, but neuter. And then ace or ep, which is a short form of epe, ho epipatheson. And then you have the me sun paralamben and tuto me suneke, which is a form of soon plus the to be verb, and you see the various forms. Now, these all you would look, how would you look them up? You look up beta and D in the Greek codices. Now, as I will show you where the Greek codice is, but that information is part of the Novum Testimonium, the little booklet that you see, but you can look it up in the actual references. And you look up all the rest of these in the abbreviations. So you look up the beta, and D in Greek codices. The D through D0 are in the Greek codices. The G and the Y are in the Latin codices under Actus Apostolorum. And you look at the abbreviations. Where do we find this? Well, let's look at what I've put on the text under the Greek resources. Under exegetical process, you'll find the NA-28 text, and you can look at it there. Just a minute while it loads our friendly text files, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, while it's loading the files, let me go through the judgments. Notice that these papyri are given as the frequent and consistent witnesses as papyri, as unisicles, and as minuscules. And I've gone through that earlier in a previous video. So what would that be listed in the weighing of the witnesses? Let's say you looked it up in the appendices, as I will show you, and you found that the witness B27 is consistently cited, done for the 5th century, and that D, with the parenthesis in there, is cited again in the 5th century. The apouton is cited in the 5th century. The utos is cited in the 5th century. The S epe ho pepemthesan is cited in the 5th century and later. The me sun paralamben is cited in Latin and in the 5th century. And the two-tone me sun enai, or enai sun is listed, utos is listed in the 5th century. So you're seeing, as the compendiums begun in the time of the Vulgate, you're seeing the centuries. Why did the emperors choose this text? The text editions, they believe, occur in the 5th century or later. And the me sun paralambenain has a witness in the 3rd century, so earlier better. So first of all, let me tell you why we're studying this, and then I will see if I can get these appendices loaded. If they don't load shortly, I will show you them in the next presentation. So in Greek Exegesis, in what we're studying in BNTB 672, we're only requiring pretty much the UBS or the NA-28 translation for translators or pastors. Some commentaries make use of alternate things, so I want you to be aware of it. When you write your exegetical paper, I'm going to teach you how to do that for the exegetical paper. You will need to get critical analysis information on the text you choose for your exegetical paper. And those who plan to do PH study may wish to buy the Novum Testamentum in either printed form or Logos form. Logos form has some benefit, and I will go through things. However, the text for this class, as you found it, are online in Word and PDF form, so you don't need to form that. Well, there's questions, and the next presentation will show you the appendices and the files that I would like to show you. I think I will not delay this for loading the rest. I wish you the blessings, and please tune in to version 3 to see the appendices and the details. You can also receive this on site, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, I will post links to the Novum Testimonium and places you can either purchase it or download it from the German Bible Society's website. Thank you again for your time.